What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today's video, we're going to be talking about all things 2025. So obviously now we're at roughly the halfway point in the 2025 season. So I'm going to detail what's already occurred and then also give you an insight into what is about to happen in terms of my competition plans, what I have prepping, and also hopefully some future invitations as well that we can discuss. So before I get into it, please like, comment, subscribe, share, do all of that kind of magic stuff with this video. I am trying to ramp up the YouTube at the moment, so I have set out a task of uploading roughly about 3 times per month. So it will be videos like this where they're just kind of breakdown videos. It will also be the video that I'm doing next week is like a gym tour. So I'm going to show you guys around this place, show you what kit I have. I'll also show you the barn that I do all my moving events in, and then like the recovery area where I have my hot and cold. So I'll showcase all of that. And then also the weekend after, we'll probably actually start doing some training vlogs as we get into the preparation for some of my upcoming shows. So if you want to see that stuff, obviously just give the algorithm a boost and it'd be much appreciated. And the more that this channel grows, the more that I'll be able to do with it. So without further ado, let's get stuck into it. To really detail 2025, we do need to scale back a bit and give it a bit more context. So obviously, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I feel like all I do is talk about this at the moment. But if you follow me, if you've been keeping an eye on me on YouTube or Instagram or stuff, you will know that last year, pretty much this time last year, I was having surgery on my bicep. So missed out on World's Strongest Man, ruptured the bicep, had to have surgery, and spent the best part of 6 months after rehabbing that. I was also rehabbing a separate injury at the same time. So I took that kind of window of opportunity where I wasn't doing any competitions to really kind of get my body in the best working order possible. So I've had knee issues on and off since I was 10, 12, something like that. I remember having issues playing rugby and football and stuff. So turns out I've got basically just bone on bone, a bit of arthritis, which is nothing too concerning. But the partial avulsion fracture what I had in my left patella tendon. So what that essentially is I had a partial tear in that tendon, but it's an avulsion fracture, so it's actually pulled off some bone with it. And it's not too severe to the extent where they want to operate yet, but I'm currently missing around 20% of that tendon. But we have managed to successfully rehab it, so that 80% that I had remaining is now stronger than ever. So yeah, I pretty much spent the back end of last year, 6 months, rehabbing, and then I obviously decided to drop in and do the Magnus Classic towards the end of the year for a couple of reasons. Obviously the main reason for me is that I wanted to knock the rust off. I didn't want my first competition back post-surgery and post-rehab to be Britain's Strongest Man. Obviously as a Brit, for me, Britain's is my gateway to World's Strongest Man, and I didn't want to go into that competition lacking, having a massive lack of confidence or just not knowing where my body was at. So we decided to treat Magnus as a bit of like a test run to rebuild the confidence, get match fit again, and just blow the rust off, so to speak. So it wasn't only that as well. Obviously, I kind of, to some extent, fell out of love of strongman a little bit last year. Obviously, just because of what had happened and stuff. It had cost me a lot. It had cost me near on 10 grand to rehab both issues. It cost me 2 months of not being able to hold my son. And just the timings of the injuries meant that I missed out on massive opportunities and stuff. So definitely left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. So I wanted to rekindle the love for strongman again, which is why I decided to do the Magnus, because it is my favorite show to date. I just absolutely love it. So good result of the Magnus. Obviously I didn't particularly place well. I think I was mid-pack, but we survived the show. Didn't have any issues in terms of physically. And then I knew it was a massive confidence boost going into the 2025 season. So it ticked all the boxes for what we were after. So that's the context. Going into 2025, first show was Britain's Strongest Man, which was in February. The goal with Britain's was simple. I just wanted to podium. I've been 4th place at Britain's on 2 separate occasions now. So I've been right on the precipice of hitting that podium, but just fallen short a couple of times. So the goal was to podium. And then obviously off the back end of that, I would also secure my invitation to World's Strongest Man. So that was the goal. that was the plan, and that's what we did. So walked away with second place overall, which obviously I'm buzzing about. It is my second Giants Live podium, the highest placing that I've done at a Giants to date, and obviously it did secure me my World's Strongest Man spot. I'd say in hindsight I was probably 95% for that show, or actually maybe I was probably physically 100%, but I was just slightly inhibited due to some apprehension on a couple of events, mainly ripping stuff off the floor. So it was like the sandbag steeplechase, the heavy Atlas Stone run, for example. I still performed on them, but I was just maybe a couple seconds slower than what I should have been. You know, I was really deliberate with my handing, like my hand placing and stuff like that. So, but after that show, all of that had gone. I knew that things were decent again, and I could just kind of crack on and have, you know, no limitations, so to speak. So off the back of Britain's Strongest Man, I pretty much immediately received an invitation to compete at Europe's. Now, I've done Europe's Strongest Man 3 separate occasions, 22, 23 and 2024. It's always a good show for me. I'm always in the top 5, you know, the top half. But I decided, and I told the organisers that I would have to contemplate it and give it some time and some thought and refer to, you know, my coach and people like that and just kind of assess whether I would actually do it or not. And the main reason why is because I felt like I owed myself a good performance at World's Strongest Man. So obviously my history at Worlds before this year wasn't great. 2022 was my first year. I got injured before and during the first event of the group stage, and then later had to withdraw. The following year, 2023, I missed due to the birth of my son. 24, last year, obviously I ruptured my bicep 10 days out. So I felt owed that, you know, I needed to go to World's Strongest Man and perform at that highest level and showcase what I could do. So I didn't want any distractions, no disturbances in the prep. Without interruption, I just wanted a clean run going up to World's Strongest Man. So I opted to decline the invite, which they were more than understanding of. And of course, what that also does as well is it gives the opportunity for somebody else to take that position rather than me turning up to Europe's having already banked my Worlds qualifier. You know, I've already got my invitation, so there's not that to gain. I've already got it. Whereas they gave the opportunity to Paddy Haynes, and obviously we know now that Paddy did really well at Europe's. He podiumed, then he went on to Worlds and did really well there. So you know, it was, in hindsight, it was absolutely the right decision, not only for me, but it benefited other people as well off the back of it. So with that being said, obviously, it would have been good to do Europe's. Like, if I could guarantee that I could do Europe's and be in one piece and continue my prep for Worlds without kind of sabotaging it, then I would have absolutely done it. But strongman's so uncertain, as we all know, and I needed that clear run to World's Strongest Man, more for myself, more than anything. But I'm not really motivated by like prize money or titles or trophies or any of that. Obviously they're nice, but my main drive in strongman, what I want out of this sport, is that I want to be competing at the upper echelon of this sport. I want to be at the biggest shows, the hardest lineups, you know, and really test myself and make sure that I'm continuously objectively improving every single show that I do. And then when you try and rationale doing Europe's amongst that logic, it just kind of didn't work. Like, it wasn't gonna give me anything more than obviously like a title or trophy or anything like that. It wasn't going to advance me because I was already going to Worlds anyway. So went to World's Strongest Man. Obviously, I've already done a recap video. I'll put a little link up here so you can watch that. But yeah, Worlds went really well. Obviously, I made the final, which was my goal, and then placed 7th overall. And I knew immediately after that performance that I was going to be on radars for other major invitations, mainly the Strongest Man on Earth, which, as of today, I accepted that invite 4 days ago, which obviously I'm absolutely buzzing about. I will do a video on this another time, kind of like my predictions and my goals for that competition, but I'm absolutely buzzing to receive that invite, obviously. And, you know, this time last year, I've got it written on the gym wall over there, actually, before I even competed at the Magnus. So this was probably still during my rehab. I wrote on there, 2025, Britain's Strongest Man podium and top Englishman. That latter bit is just my ego. I've been the top Englishman at every show that I've done for the last 2 and a bit years. Obviously, that's broken now from World's Strongest Man, but go to World's Strongest Man and make the final was the second, and then the third and final thing on that board up there is the Strongest Man on Earth. So we have ticked all three, and I guess I need to expand on that a bit more now for the rest of the year. But that takes us up to where we are now, guys. So as it stands at the time of shooting this video, we are like 3 weeks post Worlds. I'm 2 weeks into a 4-week training block, which is just a GPP block, which means general physical preparedness. I'm basically, I wouldn't say it's deloading, it's obviously just priming my body ready for the next training phase. So it potentiates my peaking phase going into the Strongest Man on Earth, which will probably be an 8-week phase of training. So I will definitely document that at some point as well. I'll do training vlogs and stuff. And that is the only competition that I have for the remainder of the year. Now, it's worth noting this, I don't think it's going to be announced, but I have withdrawn from England's Strongest Man. I accepted the invitation for England's Strongest Man back in, I believe it was December or January. It was very early, and obviously I couldn't predict the kind of year that I was going to have, so of course I accepted it. But I was very honest and transparent with the organisers. I told them in the lead up to World's Strongest Man that if I can do what I think I'm capable of at Worlds, which is make the final, then I'm almost certainly going to be on the radar for the likes of the Strongest Man on Earth. And if so, I will have to reconsider the show. Basically, I'll have to choose whether I do England's or not. And obviously it mapped out that way. I made the final, and then I told them again post Worlds that I'm waiting for a potential invite, and if it comes through, then I will more than likely not compete at England's. And that's the decision that I've made. I don't think it's gone down particularly well, but it is what it is. It's ultimately, you know, they clarified this as well. It's my decision what shows I do. Obviously it's disappointing for them, and it is disappointing for me. I would like to be there. It's my national title as well as Britain's. The thing is, could I guarantee that I could go there and perform at my best? Otherwise, I'm not turning up. Could I guarantee that I could go there and perform at my best and then roll into the Strongest Man on Earth 3 weeks later? No, I can't guarantee that. And it's the same situation again that we had at the start of the year with Europe's and Worlds. Europe's and Worlds being close together, and I picked Worlds as the priority and just focused solely on that. And that's pretty much exactly what I'm doing again now. And what it also does as well, in the same scenario, it gives the reserve athlete the opportunity to step up and potentially qualify for Britain's Strongest Man next year, which I think, I mean, I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. I think I've already got that kind of secured with, you know, placing as the runner-up and then off the back of my Worlds performance, but, you know, who knows. But yeah, someone else that's obviously more eager, more kind of hungry for that England's spot should take it over me. You know, I mean, I've obviously thought about this. I don't like to upset organisers, I really don't, but I've just been as honest and transparent as I possibly could, as early as I could, so that the reserve, whoever it may be, can obviously have ample time to prep. So, yeah, not ideal. You know, maybe I see it all the time where athletes rock up and maybe do a lackluster performance or just bow out after a couple of events, but ultimately I've been in the position as a reserve that's so eager to get into a show, and then I'm watching and witnessing athletes take that opportunity for granted and not really showcase themselves at 100%. And I know how frustrating it is. So ultimately, when I'm put in the other position where I can make that early decision, I will always make that, and I stick with it. I think it's the right decision. Obviously, the Strongest Man on Earth is such a heavy and hard show. I don't think people are underestimating it. I've seen comments of, you know, this is like gnarly. It's going to be one of, if not the heaviest and hardest show ever, period, in history. So definitely a one that I want the blinkers on for. I don't want to have any distractions or thinking about any other competitions. I need to just focus solely on the preparations for that and make sure that I am 100% prepped for it, which means, of course, pulling out of England's Strongest Man. So I don't know what that does in terms of hurting my chances for possibly getting invites later on in the year with Giants Live. We'll just have to wait and see. I hope it doesn't. I do feel like, well, nothing's owed, obviously, and I have kind of made my bed, so I should lie in it. But, you know, I've demonstrated beforehand that put me in the deadlift championships and I'll podium, or I think I'm a strong contender for the podium. I rocked up with 2 weeks notice last time and pulled a very conservative 430 kilos, which I am way stronger now. So I don't see why I can't tick off 1,000 pounds this year, get myself on another International Giants podium, and then secure my Worlds invite prior to Britain's Strongest Man next year. So that would be amazing, but we will just, obviously that's out of my hands. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Other than that, I'm in two minds whether I take an off season after all of this and give myself maybe 3 months of just fine-tuning things ready for the start of the 2026 season. Or in fact, if I do want to compete, I do have potentially a couple of other options. I could ask for a spot at the Magnus again, whether it will have me back or not, I don't know. Or I could jump into some SCLs potentially. The only other major show for the rest of the year, of course, excluding the Tour Final, Giants Live in Glasgow. The only other big show is the Rogue Invitational. Now, of course, I would absolutely love to do the Rogue. And as I've explained previously, I think out of the 4 big shows that we have, Worlds, Arnold's, Rogue, and the Strongest Man on Earth, I think the format and the event layout typically at Rogue is suited to me, and I think that would be my best showing personally. So I do know, however, the obviously it's an invitational, but it's ranked on a point system, and the weird point system that they have in place kind of does make sense, but it does favour historical athletes that have competed or appeared in the major 4 competitions over the last 3 years. So just appearing at a show 3 years ago still accrues you points. And to give you an example, off the back of my 7th place at Worlds, I'm ranked 21st. Reno, who is the current World's Strongest Man, is ranked 17th. So obviously they'll have their top 10, and I'm guessing they will ultimately invite whoever they want, but they will use that point system as like a base to go off. And I don't think, unless I have an absolute blinder at the Strongest Man on Earth this year, I don't think I'll accrue enough points to get a spot at Rogue. So it's more about potentially 2026, but you know, who knows. So that's it, guys. In terms of competitions, what I'm prepping for, what I'm hoping for the rest of the year. So just to reiterate, Strongest Man on Earth is coming up. And then after that, I'm pretty much free, and I would love to jump into the deadlift championships. It is within close proximity to Strongest Man on Earth, but then I can just stretch the peak an extra 4 or 5 weeks or whatever it is. And obviously I'll have a static focus anyway going into the Strongest Man on Earth. So it'll be a quick transition. And then any other shows after that will just be, I mean, we'll just kind of play it by ear, I guess, with the main goal of getting better for 2026 and then seeing what we can do. So other than that, the businesses, so obviously I'm trying to push the YouTube a little bit more now. So yeah, do boost my algorithm as much as you possibly can. It would be much appreciated. I'm also ramping up the coaching. So for those of you that don't know, I've been an online coach for 8 years. I've been a PT for 10 years now. Predominantly focused on strength or powerlifting was my initial background. And then obviously now it's more strongman, or pretty much exclusively strongman over the recent years. But if you are interested in coaching, you can drop me a DM or any of the information in the box below, and we can have a chat, basically. And then other than that, what else am I doing? Merchandise is the last thing. So I currently have a box coming in from abroad with only a select few samples. There's about 20 items in there that I'm going to just dispatch out to my current clients and some friends and family to get feedback from, to assess the quality and the print and the sizing and stuff. And then once I'm happy and I'm signed off on it, I will be putting in a bigger order. I also have a website coming that should be published in about 2 weeks' time, so everything will be on there. So yeah, that's what we're doing, guys. We're kind of trying to improve the brand, put myself out there a little bit more. So if you do want to see more, if there's anything in particular that you want to see, just leave a comment down below and I'll make sure that I can try and get it done. We're thinking, like I said, it'll be training vlogs, it'll be days in the life or days of eating, and then obviously I can do mini series such as the Strongest Man on Earth prep, or you know, maybe just kind of some more videos like this where they're more kind of breaking things down and insights and backstories. So yeah, let me know what you want, guys. Other than that, thanks again for checking in, and I'll catch you next time.